Well, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is 6 o'clock and I've got some delicious dishes to make today. So welcome to Cooking with Heart for Diabetes Class 3, where we're going to talk about why it's so hard to say no to ultra-processed food. And we're going to do a mindful eating exercise to kind of go through some of the habits that we really want to encourage. Let's see. I want to start off with a big thank you to the Trinity Foundation, to Genesis, and to the Quad City Diabetes Association, because they make these classes available. And the word is getting out. We are actually full for November. So that's great. Still refer people that you know. We're going to start classes for 2024. I know that sounds crazy, but you know, the holidays are coming up and we don't like to do it during the holidays because people, it's just hard for them to make commitments. So, thank you for everybody for encouraging people to take the classes. And I have a guest here that I want to share with you. I think I saw her. There she is. Oh, are you here, Donna? I thought I saw you. Maybe she got off. Is Donna here? Okay. I don't know why it says request to join. Donna, are you here? No? Okay. Okay. I don't know why. I don't understand that. Sorry. It says calling. I don't know what's going to happen now. I hit the button and it's calling. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well. So I was thinking that Donna was going to join us, but we'll see if she chops on because she's a diabetes educator and they always have good tidbits to share. Okay, so next week we're going to talk about heart health. Heart health is super connected to diabetes. So it's really important to understand that connection and also eat heart healthy. So we'll cover that in integrated with diabetes. And next week we'll do a fish. It's the easiest, best salmon and overnight oats, because those are things that are really good for your heart. We'll talk more about that. Today we're going to do triple powered tortillas. It's got 3 layers, so it's triple powered that you can use in multiple different uses. And it's got beans in a super easy way. One of my favorite ways to just eat beans. So if you're struggling to get more beans, this might be the secret that you need. And then my mouth-watering microwave frittata. So this one has really, I give it 2 vegetable servings in the morning. So if you want to have this, and you could have it at dinner too. So it's super easy to do in the microwave, and you be the judge of how good it tastes. I think it's really good. So before digging in, I want to hear from you. What things did you learn from last week? What things did you notice? Were you aware of? Did you have a chance to try out some things, look at some labels? So share any of your learnings.
Okay. I tried a lot of them. We made the sweet potatoes. We did that kale salad that was passed out.
Oh,
Did that there. I think it's in there. You can maybe add honey to it.
you can, yeah.
Unique. That might be my sweet. Yeah, I needed that a little bit more, but we still liked it. It was good. I was surprised.
We had somebody that added honey when they made it. They liked it. So yeah.
Okay. And yeah, made that. Now we've made a double batch of that cauliflower salad.
Okay.
So we're onto this every meal now. Adding fruit to every meal, right?
Okay. Wow.
Banana things.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Peggy is sharing. She's been doing the banana snack. She's been doing the cauliflower sweet salad, made a double batch. And were you able to get pomegranates?
Yes.
Oh, those are wonderful.
I had to tap them both. Fun.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, she did the tapping to get it out to pomegranate. Awesome. Awesome. And tell me, have you noticed, Peggy, any difference in how you're feeling energy-wise?
Yes, because if we stray and eat something we're not supposed to, I am back to the refrigerator searching all the time.
Yes.
For food.
Okay. So Peggy is noticing that if she strays from her intentions, that
refrigerator eating, sounds like just, well, I don't like to label things good or bad. It's just whether it's serving you or not serving you. At certain times, it can be serving you. So, yeah, so it's just, we were having a discussion, Tanya and I today, about, you almost have to go through this journey of going back to some of the foods that you thought you weren't going to, and then experiencing that change in the roller coaster. And just you've got to come to a place where you're like, it's not a big reward anymore. It really isn't. And I really like these whole foods. So they're just serving me so much more. So I'm going to just figure out how I can make those more easily available. So, but you got to get to that point, because I don't want you thinking, oh, I should do this. But I really want to do that. So, and if you're there, that's okay. Just keep with it, because today is about awareness. There's a lot of research in just being aware and having compassion. And over time, it doesn't happen with the first, second time, but over time, your brain and your body say, you know what? It's not the big reward I thought it was. It's become less important, and I really want to stick with this. So thank you, Peggy. Other sharings? Yes, Kristen.
I know. Something wrong. Somebody said that, I'm a meter, so I
Yeah.
do that. But when you take one of those and the blueberries and you shake it and tight it, you just really feel like you're doing something amazing,
Oh my goodness. Oh, so Christy, she's been doing the blueberry and chocolate rice cake and a little bit of shaved chocolate peanut butter. And she said she almost feels guilty because it's so good. So, and that's the mindset that happens with the guilt. There's no guilt. We're the ones that associate it, but I totally understand. And I do want you in a way to like feel like you're indulging, and craving that. I mean, it's serving you too. So, and she's saying that she normally goes for volume, but she's paying attention, aware, and she's finding out that, wow, it's satisfying, just the one. So, and it sounds like you're savoring. So today we'll go over that with the mindful exercise. So, awesome. So the other sharings, these are awesome. And I want you to not compare yourself to what you're hearing from others and go, I didn't really do too much, or I should be doing that, or this is all about compassion. So you're here, you're becoming more informed, and that's powerful. It's a journey, and you've got to go the journey. And I don't know what the journey is for you, but each one of us has a journey. We've got a lot of baggage and a lot of, different influences in our life. So just be compassionate. I really want you to keep that in mind. Okay. So we're going to hop over to then the PowerPoint. So really got some great points today. Oh, okay. Sure, you can see the calendar. What about the PowerPoint? There we go. Oh, good. Oh, I want to go back to sharing. Wrong button. Okay, try it again. Am I sharing? No. Okay, so back here, share. Yes, okay, screen. There we go. Okay, so processed food is everywhere. We're forced to make decisions with processed food several times a day. So let's talk about what processed food is, because there's confusion between processed and ultra processed. But processed really is anything that you've manipulated in any way. You've cut, you've washed, you've bagged. So, but it's also fried, baked, ground, all that. So freezing, dehydrating, milling. So, and now an ultra processed food, which is what we're honing in on today, is something that you don't recognize the whole food, and there's been added sugar, salt, additives to it, back to it.
So what's happening is we're stripped of the whole food benefits. So now processing is not bad in itself because of processing, we have diversity. We have things. I mean, think about it. You know, I remember my grandpa told stories of at Christmas, the big deal was an orange. You know, like, you know, we really did not have, we now have all kinds of choices. So, you know, success brown rice, that helps me do things quicker. So, and you've got frozen, you know, avocado cubes, frozen butternut squash cubes that, you know, I can have, it really helps and cuts down, saves on time. So processing isn't a problem, it's the ultra processed. And the downside is it's, you know, it's stripped of these gifts so that it's leading to chronic disease that we've been talking about, the gifts. So now eating ultra processed food does a lot for our brain. We're going to get more into this, but they did a study where it was a pretty cool study back in like 2019, just before COVID. This researcher, Kevin Hall, got a bunch of people to sign up and put them in a dorm in the National Institutes of Health. So they stayed there for a month. They couldn't leave. So I think they got paid $5,000 to stay there. So, and they ate all their meals there. And for 2 weeks, they were served ultra processed food. And for 2 weeks, they were served minimally processed food. So they matched them on calories, sugar, fat, salt, fiber. Pretty amazing. That was really tough. I've seen a couple of it's kind of top secret, the menus. I've seen a couple of the meals. But they said fiber is actually the hardest. They had to add fiber to the orange juice and ultra processed. So, and this is like not fresh squeezed oranges. It's like, you know, like orange flavored water. So, but what they found was, and so they switched them. So it was a gold standard, which is like hardly ever done. So, and they weren't told, but they were measured a ton of things throughout the day, all different hormones and all different things in their blood. And what they found is when the subjects were on the ultra processed food, they ate a day 508 more calories, and they ate 11 minutes faster. And they gained 2 pounds. And they told them just eat ad lib, just eat whatever you want. They didn't say you had to eat it all or anything like that. Minimally processed, they lost 2 pounds. So, and actually the study was set out to prove that ultra processed is not the problem. Kevin Hall, back in 2015, there's a lot of humbug, a lot of circulation about like ultra processed food is the problem. And he was like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he was corrected. So we're doing some more studies to kind of find out why. We saw some things like our appetite hormones change a lot, fluctuate a lot, kind of like what Peggy was sharing here. It really changes when you go to ultra processed food, your appetite and the hormones. So most likely when you start stripping it of those gifts in the whole foods, you are going to be hungrier and you're going to have a stronger sense of hunger build up quicker. So it just changes those kind of things. Okay. So let's dig into our brain and a little bit what happens there. Now you probably have heard of how many of you heard that ultra processed food is like an addiction when you eat it? Okay, so I've heard that phrase. That's a little strong. It does elicit some of the same places in the brain as like cocaine and heroin. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same. It's a little harsh. However, here's the thing that really makes it hard is you're faced with it 3 times a day. You're not faced with heroin and cocaine 3 times a day. And it's legal to advertise. Okay, so that's the evil part. We also just need a little nudge to act impulsively. So that's where, like the front of the package, the advertising in the grocery store, and the social media and things like that. We've got at work, at gas stations, all kinds of advertising that's very strategic to get you just a little bit, because they know when you take a little bit, you're going to finish it. Now, food companies since the 60s, when they get together to do new product, they put together food scientists, marketers, psychologists, flavor experts. They do not put together dietitians or nutritionists. They want to find out how to sell us more of the food so that we do overeat. That is the goal. So they even want us to eat when we're not hungry. And our body's really good at telling us when it's full or hungry. So food companies strategize to sabotage us. In the 60s, remember the phrase for the potato chips? That you can't eat just one. Well, that was funny in the 60s, but it's really come true. So now the problem we keep trying to identify, what's the problem? What's the problem? We're overeating, we've got health problems. Well, for millions of years, we didn't have a problem with the food supply and how we ate and our chronic disease. We had other diseases, I realized, but it's the food supply that has changed, and we haven't changed our wiring. So overeating has become an everyday thing. Now, when manufacturers create flavors for products, ultra-processed products, they know the taste has to dissipate quickly. So there was this 60 Minutes, remember that show? 60 Minutes? So episode where, I forget who the guy, he's one of the classic ones, is out in an orange grove with flavor engineers. And they pick off the orange tree, a fresh orange, beautiful orange, peel it open, and they all take a segment of it and eat it. And the interviewer says, so is this a flavor that you would make? And they go, no. And he's like, why? And they said, well, because it dissipates too slowly. Because the faster it dissipates on your tongue, the quicker it goes to your brain, and the speed, it's not just it's going quicker, it's the speed is what influences the craving. So it's like a hit. You're getting a hit in ultra-processed food versus just tasting. And that hit is going to lead to a craving, an urge for more. The goal isn't to make something addicting only, it's also to make something cheap. And so what are your cheap ingredients? Sugar, salt, and the chemically processed deodorized oils. Okay, many of them come from manufacturers have learned in kind of the garbage product of their processing. They're like, oh, we could use that. We'll just deodorize it and process it, and we'll bottle it up and use it. So when we're in the grocery store, there's a lot of intentional triggering, the smells, the music, bright colors, so that trigger us. Now, can you remember the last time you overate broccoli? It doesn't happen, guys. That's not by accident. It's not the taste. Everybody immediately goes to the taste. It isn't. It's because it doesn't hit that craving, that reward. What is it you remember overeating? Ice cream, potato chips, M&Ms. Oh my goodness, I cannot bring those in the house. Okay, so many of your favorite foods, what we call, when I ask somebody what their favorite foods are, they are in the ultra-processed category, because that's what we're kind of taught to name as our favorite foods. And we are stimulated to desire more of that. So it's a pleasure part of our brain that's stimulated. And big food companies know this. There are several activities that stimulate that, if you can think about it. And they're going for that reward section, that pleasure section. So it's the flavor and the texture that come together to push our pleasure buttons. And they have a word for this. It's called hyperpalatable and bliss point. Those are words that are used to describe ultra-processed foods. Now, here's the thing. Our pleasure center isn't satisfied with just one experience. The system is set up to continually feed that reward or pleasure, and it does not care about the calories, fat, fiber, anything like that. It does not care if it's 500 or 300 calories. It's all about seeking more pleasure. Now, not everyone is the same in regards to some of these things that I'm talking about, the pleasure centers, so keep that in mind. So not everyone is going to develop strong cravings for certain things. I'm not saying we're all programmed to in some degree, but some people definitely are stimulated to overeat in salty sugar. So we have different responses, and there's different things that can affect that too, not just our body. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I just want you to be careful. You know, I want you to have compassion for what we're talking about. If you have a history of overeating, that was your body responding to the cues, okay? And, you know, it was a solution very likely to something that was going on. It's just not serving you now. So we're going to look at some things that we can do so that you weren't put in that situation. Another really important factor is to point out is that when we're talking about reward centers, stress. Stress heightens our sensitivity of the reward center, which leads to an increased drive to eat and cravings. Makes sense. Stress heightens the sensitivity of the reward center, which is going to lead to increased appetite, drive, and cravings. So you are a sitting duck with a tub of ice cream in the house and you're stressed. Now, eating in response to stress also can be a learned behavior. So it gets a little messy when we try and say, well, this is why somebody's overeating. Well, there's also the whole cue and the learned behavior, and it got automatic, and we got routines. So we've also learned to tell ourselves that we eat to feel calmer. So, and food marketers love to build up evidence, which is false for this belief. So it's a false belief. So what can happen is there can be what really happens is it's a distraction. The food is a distraction. It does not weigh what's happening. It's just a temporary short-term numbing. The food does. But it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make it less. When you're in pain, your reward centers are activated. You're going to want to do something to relieve that. And your reward centers, for many of us, is going to be associated with super pleasure. And so that's where we're going to just go first. So all I want to ask is that you start to become aware of this. That is the first thing. So what's imprinted in there are potato chips and ice cream and candy and maybe a certain drive-by. So just start becoming aware of these associations that you have and tune in. We're going to do a mindful eating exercise in a moment. But I just want you to have no judgment. When you start getting judged and critical, it's gonna muck up things. So best you can, and I know it's hard because we've been taught how to be judgmental, critical, but no judgment, be curious. I want to know more why I'm overeating. We have some research, and there's a researcher, Dr. Judd Brew, I think Brew. And he actually helps people with overeating, with their cravings, smoking,
and he has a higher quit smoking rate than most smoking programs. And what he does is he basically says, I want you to smoke. I want you to be aware of the smoke and the smell and the taste and the, just all that's happening, because you tune that out. And when you're overeating, you're tuning out a lot of flavor too, and your body signals. So he works with people and he says, go about. I want you to just go about. If you overeat, I want you to just become aware. Start becoming aware. And the whole idea is over time, it usually takes 8 to 11 times, but people will start to go, you know what? I'm getting a headache in the morning after I eat like that. Or I feel really sluggish. Or I got cranky. And I don't want to be that way anymore. I didn't realize that's partly due to my eating. And at some point, you start tipping the scale over to, okay, maybe that's not the best word, but tipping it over. The tipping point is where now the reward for not overeating, for stopping, for doing something else, because maybe you're not even hungry altogether, is a higher reward for you than the overeating and numbing your feelings or filling the time. It might have started out as a numbing the feelings, but over time, maybe it just became habit. When you watch TV, you get out the potato chips and, I don't know, but there's, just starting to become aware, curious. Don't beat yourself up. Compassion. You really have to go into compassion. So if you're able to, as you go on this path, it doesn't happen the first, second, third, fourth time, but when you get into it, sometimes you can start into breathing or dancing or just changing your routine, calling up a friend, visualization sometimes is done. These are not easy to do initially, but down the road, you want to change the routine, change your association with whatever's going on there. Okay, so let's go into some strategies. So, okay, we want to allow hunger to happen. So, and again, I want to say we're all different. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. Your body's going to react differently to another person. It might be metabolism. It might be sensitivity to insulin. It might be gut hormones. It might be medical conditions. It might be your gut biome. That's kind of the bugs in your gut. We're all hardwired for pleasure, but we all are different. It's going to turn out a different outcome. So please don't compare yourself. Okay, so allowing hunger. We want to get hungry. When we start feeling the hunger signals, you want to eat within 30 minutes to an hour. If you're on a kind of not on the total roller coaster, but when you get things on a more balanced schedule, when you start getting hungry, you go, oh, I'm getting hungry. I need to make sure I get something in 30 to 60 minutes. So when you eat, when you're hungry, your taste buds are the most sensitive. So eating when you're hungry, it tastes the best. The first bite is the best. So you're going to experience more flavor. The ancient Greeks said hunger was the best seasoning. It always tastes better. So, and pay attention. When you start eating like that fifth bite, does it really taste as good as that first one? Most likely it's not. Now, again, you listen to yourself. So we have two kind of systems to listen to when we're eating to tell us when to stop. There's the neural, which is very fast. That's the stomach. And the stomach stretches according to how much food or liquid we have. And it's quicker. So it's going to be based on volume, the stomach. And you'll get a quick kind of feedback signal on that. The hormonal is the other one. And that one's happening more in your small intestines. And it has to get a little further through. And your body is trying to pick up, did you eat carb, fat, protein? Now, it doesn't have an exact measurement, but it's just trying to give a feeling
because it's going to give feedback back to your brain to tell you how full you are. That's the 20 minutes later fullness. Okay. This was set up evolutionarily so you would eat a decent amount, and it kind of tried to read it and give you a feedback signal that, hey, I feel confident I can go for the next several hours to digest this and not need something additional. That's what it's trying to read. So if you eat really quickly, are you gonna overeat or undereat? You're gonna overeat. You're gonna overeat. Yes. So, so start paying attention. And when you're hungry, you want to then be eating. So 30 minutes, once you get a balanced kind of gradual schedule set up, it will be a gradual buildup rather than I'm hungry. Oh my goodness, I need to have something soon. So, and then fullness. So that's when you stop. So you want to actually get to about 80% full, is what we recommend. There's kind of a saying, I forget where it's from, but 80% is for health, and the last 20% is for the doctor. So if you eat till you're 100% full, you're going to be over full. Okay? Because in 20 minutes, you're going to be like, oh my goodness. So, and some people just learn to not pay attention. They just are used to these kind of achy, full signals. And I don't like being hungry, but I get a gradual increase, and then I'll eat 30 to 60 minutes later. I eat stuff that's going to stick with me for several hours, fiber, a little protein, maybe a little bit of good quality fat. And that will stick with me for 3, 4, sometimes my breakfast, I can go 5 hours, and then I'll start getting hungry again. But it'll be a gradual hunger. So, and I don't like being over full. I really don't like being super full. And even on Thanksgiving, I'll get more full than normal, but it's not like I used to, where I used to be like, oh, I gotta sit down and let off the fan. So I just don't like it. And so I'm not saying that's the goal, but paying attention to yourself and being aware, I'm going to overeat. It's Thanksgiving, that's okay. But other days, you want to, most of the time, be eating till you're 80% full. Okay, so this is a hunger scale, and this is an instrument, a tool that you can use. We get hungry up till 4. Let yourself get hungry till 4, beginning to feel hungry. Then you want to start eating within 30 to 60 minutes. You don't want to get all the way down to 3. Okay, 3 is too hungry because you're going to overeat. You want to stop when you're at 6, because in 20 minutes later, you're going to be just creeping into the 7. Now, do I think in numbers in my head? No. I've done this before, and you might want to do this for 3 days. That's what I recommend. Do a pilot run, 3 days, where you actually write down the numbers. But in my head, I'm always saying, am I hungry? How full am I? Is this the starting to get full? So find the wording for you. Okay, so some tips to prevent overeating, because most of us are eating quickly is one way. So smaller plate. So going from the 12-inch to 10-inch, you decrease what you eat 22%, most people, calories. So smaller plate, even if you have to go back for seconds, that's fine. Smaller plate. There's I have an 8-inch plate at home that we use most of the time, 8 inches. So if I need to, sometimes I bring a little bowl on the side, because sometimes it doesn't really fit on the 8 inches, but that's what I start with, is the 8 inches. So we're going to do a mindful eating exercise in a moment. So you'll get that. Chewing well. Chewing is not about like, oh, you're helping your stomach. Your stomach does not need any help. But your body used to always chew, guys. We actually used to like have really good, incisors there to chew our food. Because, even the plants were not soft. They were serious plants, okay? And so we chewed to tell our body that food's coming. And there is some research to show that if you eat standing up quickly,
your cortisol levels are higher. And one thing Europe does very well is they sit down and they have meals and they eat and they eat longer meals. They don't necessarily eat more. I had spent 2 weeks in France, traveling with somebody that grew up in France. And so we met people from France and we had 4-hour meals. And I lost half a pound because I walked and because I ate such good food. They were passing around like fruit, you know, as one course. We'd have like 5 courses and then you just chit chat with your neighbor. So, with a lot of wine, champagne, woo! So, but we got great food, a lot of greens, a lot of, tuna in there, salmon, just really great stuff. And their food's even grown a little differently than we are here, but just a lot of fresh produce in their grocery stores. Things are ripe, guys, in their grocery stores. You don't have to take them home and set them on the counter. They're ready to go. The peaches, the strawberry, everything. So it was really wonderful. But you sat down and enjoyed your meal. Your body knew it was coming, was prepared. Okay, and then just stop when you're just about full and say, I'm going to get more in a couple of hours, and it's going to taste really good because I'm going to allow myself to get hungry. But if I overeat right now, I'm not going to be hungry for the next time I eat, and it's not going to taste as good. So that's part of the whole balance. So, okay. So, we're going to get going. Yes. Oh my goodness. Time just flies. So we're going to get going with our tortillas here. So we're going to we're going to do the mindful eating exercise. So yes. Okay. You guys are looking at me here. So awesome. Okay. So at home, you need to have something to eat, just a couple bites up. Okay. So when you eat, I have kind of like 3 things I want you to connect with. Okay, so everybody's got food here. So the first thing I want you to connect with is I want you to think about the food. Okay, we've got hummus here and Triscuit. So I want you to think about, okay, what went into that hummus? How did the Triscuit get to the Hy-Vee grocery store? So there was a truck driver that drove it on a big semi. That came from a warehouse, and it came from some factory, I don't know quite where. So there was some wheat and some salt in it, a little bit of oil, and the hummus had chickpeas and some lemon. And so you don't have to go through the whole list, but I'm just saying, just think a moment about the food. If you're eating whole foods, there's a lot of gifts to think about. How it got to your table, how it was grown, the hands that picked it, planted it, farmed it. So connect with the food, whether you want to call it gratitude, appreciation, or just, hey, it's amazing. Second thing is I want you to connect with your body. So stop and ask, am I hungry? How hungry am I? Am I 5? 5 is I don't feel hunger and I don't feel fullness. So do I have a little hunger? Okay, so I'm moving down towards the 4, or I feel a little something in that stomach, but where is that? Can you touch where that is? Because sometimes when we touch where it is, it's up in the neck or somewhere else. But paying attention, it's amazing. You might, for a fleeting moment, think you're hungry, but when you really pay attention, you're like, oh, I'm not really hungry. I've got some pain going on somewhere else. And is there some emotions going on? What else is going on? And just be compassionate. If you want to eat and all you've got is emotions, hey, that's okay. Just be aware. Don't beat yourself up and say, I shouldn't do this. Just, hey, I'm going to eat. This is a little bit of emotional eating I'm going to do. I'm aware of it. That's what that's all I need. You might be bored. Okay. Again, compassion. Just be aware. Over time, you'll be like, I'm just really not sure I want to eat when I'm bored. I'm going to try something else. I think I'm going to go find the cat. I'm going to pet the cat. That's what I need. So, I don't know. So, okay, so that's the second thing, connect with your body. And the third thing is you got food there. So I want you to connect with the food in a savoring, pleasurable way. So I want you to go ahead and take one of the crackers with the hummus and just take it up to your nose and sniff that. Whatever you have at home, just kind of take it up and sniff. See if you can even sniff it. Sometimes food, you don't even have a smell. Usually it does. So just take a sniff and see if it just brings to mind anything. And go ahead. What? After you slow it out. Yeah. Go ahead and then take a bite. Just one bite, and then take the rest of the cracker down. And I want you to don't swallow. I want you to start paying attention to the texture, the flavor profile, and twirl around your tongue. And gently take it to the back of your mouth, no choking, and swallow. And follow it all the way far down your esophagus as you can go. Now, I want you to go ahead and take another. Take it up, nose, and then at your mouth, and just take a gentle, slow chew on that and see, is it crunchy? Does it burst if you hold it for a few seconds in your mouth? Does it squish down, depending upon what it is, if you've got like a raisin? And go ahead and gently work that back of your mouth and swallow and follow it down. Now, if you want to slow down your eating, while you're eating, you can take a sip between each bite, set the fork down, the spoon down. Now, last thing I want you to do is I want you to just take a bite and swallow. As quickly as you can. No choking, but small bite. So that last bite is typically how most of us are eating. Now compare that to the first two. And those are gifts that are always available to you, but we're letting them pass by. Being aware and savoring. And I don't care if it's ultra processed or whole foods, savoring it really is a gift. It slows you down. You start to notice your hunger. We've got an announcement overhead. So it'll help you slow down. It'll help you appreciate food. And just, you might find some foods you like more or less. So it's just all about being aware. So that's kind of the overarching theme. So that's mindful eating. You don't, the point isn't that now I want, you're supposed to be eating like this. No. I just want you to incorporate. How can you incorporate what you learned into your lifestyle? You're not going to be able to sit down and do this for every meal. But can you do it some of the time? What would that look like? Your first bite? Or would that look like a certain meal on a, when you use a plate that you sit down? When I do my special plate, I don't want to be interrupted. That's my time to savor, to enjoy the moment, no distractions. But you choose for you. What does that look like? Is that one meal a week, 2 meals, breakfast? Even just the first couple of sips of your coffee, just starting to slow down and be more mindful. That will help you eat according to what you're wiring in your body. Okay, so time to do tortillas. We really need to do tortillas. So let's get the camera. I'm going to get my hand camera. Oh, okay. I'll put lots on. So yeah, perfect. So room camera, we should give it number 2 here. And let's go. This will take no time, I promise. I made some beans earlier. We're just going to make both layers at the same time. So we've got 2 layers, the peppers and the beans. So then there's a third layer of the cabbage, which we'll do in just a moment. So the beans, I like to make a double batch. If it's just you might, I mean, the full batch might take you a couple days. So I like to save it. And the cool thing is, you're going to use all the liquid of the beans. So we're just going to turn this on here and get our 1 tablespoon of olive oil going. So we're just going to put that in there. Let me get hot. There it is. And I'm going to throw in then, I'm going to cut up real quick. So remember, we're going to cut off the stem, go through the root, take this back, take this back. What? You don't like it up? You can. Oh, definitely. This is going to give it a little kick. Definitely. That's part of it. But definitely, if you want to use a Vidalia onion, different onion, definitely. So I'm doing a horizontal cut, not going through the root. Just doing some lines there. There, I've got my chopped there. I don't have my discard. I need to have my discard. So I should have a bowl there for discard. I did earlier when I was doing this. So there we go. We're going to get those cooked a little bit. Get those started. I'll do the other half for our pepper layer. Helps if you go fast. This one's a strong one. Woohoo! I'm doing my eyes. Woohoo! I might cry a little bit. Okay, we're going to get this one going. So we're going to put our olive oil in that one. And I'm going to get the onions going in there. Hot. My hand's 6 inches wet. These things are like more quick. So at home, I give it a few more seconds. Okay, to chop this, we're going to pretend this is a box. We're going to take the top off and the bottom off of my box. This is how you do peppers. Top, bottom. Now I stand it up. Now I'm going to open it up the side, just down. I'm going to open it up. See, I went all the way there. Now I'm going to use my knife and just open it up. And now, instead of just kind of, I'm going to take my knife flat like this. That way I get the best kind of taking off the picky parts. So there we go. Let me add my beans. I've got my 1 can of no added salt beans. I'm going to add all the beans and the bean juice there. So that's the cool thing. We're going to use it. We don't have to worry about the salt because we've got no added salt. So here, I'm just going to flatten this out because it works best when it's flat. And then you can do whatever. I like to do thin for this one. And I'm going to cut these because we're doing tastings here. Normally I just do it the full meat, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to toss those in. Oh, I got actually another one here too that I already cut up. So we're doing 2. I knew that. I was like, I think it's 2. Throw those in. So, okay, let's mix around the beans here. And then I'm going to add some lime juice to my beans. Turn this out a little bit. We want to get this thickened. There we go. So I've got lime. I squeezed some limes earlier. Remember, you can have it and use a tongs to squeeze it if you don't have a squeezer at home. And then we've got lots of beautiful spices, chili powder. Remember, don't use Tone's and McCormick because they add salt. So just another off-brand. Ground cumin. Ground cumin has lots of great polyphenols in it. Smoked paprika, my favorite spice. Gonna add that. And then just a teaspoon of Dijon to give another little to it. So there we go. So those are the beans. And there you guys see, they're just gonna thicken up really nicely in just a few minutes. And we're just cooking our second layer here. So I will have, let's see, for my third layer, I got somewhere. Where's my first one? I hide my bigger. Here it is.
So we're gonna make like a sweetened cabbage layer. I've got rice vinegar. Where's my rice vinegar? Oh, no, I didn't use rice. I just used regular vinegar. Still vinegar that we use to clean it, all kinds of good stuff. And a couple teaspoons of sugar, just to sweeten up the cabbage. But can we squeeze this in for like 30 seconds? So just there's some sugar in there. I want to dissolve the sugar. So, and the cabbage here, I make it, oh, I do not ever waste red pepper. So those are going over there. So let me show you the cabbage. So the cabbage here, I rinse off the outer layer. Sometimes you take off. It depends upon how it looks. So we're just going to go through half. Sometimes you have to work that through, but when I open it up, you can tell this is a little aged because we got air in there. Got cold. You can see it should be super compact, but I just got it. So, I'm going to cut it in a quarter. So I'm going to cut through that 4 again. So now notice I've got like a triangle there. This happens with cauliflower too, which is really nice. So I'm just going to cut like that. And now I've got the core off. So now this is all the part that I want to shred. So just a little piece. So 2 cups of this. So I've already done it, but so that's how you do, it should take maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do your cabbage. So I've already got cabbage. I know, but this is what happens. I have no complaint. So everybody's like, so, but I want you to be comfortable with cutting the cabbage. That's why I always get an extra cabbage. So here's my 4 cups because we're making a double batch. Oops. Okay, this is definitely done. And this is almost done here. I gotta get that hijab a little bit in there. You can see we're getting some brown spot on the bottom. That's good. That's flavor. So there we go. We're almost there. So here's my, all it is sugar and I know you're like, sugar. Oh, but all this cabbage and the fiber, there's no problem with your blood sugar. So, and then we add the beans. And so just, we want to have a nice flavor. So this cabbage, you can use this, and of course we're going to use it in the wraps today, but you can use it like I put fish on top of it. You can use it all different things. Once you've got it made up, you're like, oh, I could just throw in a little bit of that. That'd be great. So, okay, so that's done. So I'm going to mix in. So I'll set that and leave that because we'll do. Okay, so now let's put it together. So I've got a tortilla. This is just a 6-inch whole wheat, or not whole wheat, white flour tortilla. And this is a corn tortilla. These are the best corn tortillas. Can you grab the corn tortillas there so we can show them that I have found, and Linda has helped me too, the other dietitian here, for that hold together, because that's the problem with corn tortillas. They're much less processed corn tortillas than flour tortillas. Okay, flour tortillas have like, a paragraph like this of all of the ingredients, whereas this is just white corn flour, cellulose gum, fumaric acid, enzyme, lime, and water. Okay, so this one is in the refrigerated section. I had to go to 3 Hy-Vees before I realized it was refrigerated on the shelf. So it's called Me M.I. Mamas. So it's got a cute little lady there rolling out the flour. So we're just going to put in, there goes my cumin. And the reason why too, the flour tortilla has a lot more carb in it than a corn tortilla does. So I'm not labeling good, bad, just saying this is a better combination together. I know many people, flour tortillas were very familiar with it. So a little bit on the top there, but look at those, beautiful. So they're super tasty. I do have some other ideas for wraps here. This is whole wheat. There's still flour, but there are not as many carbs. It says net 5 carbs. It's more than that, but they're trying to take off the fiber and stuff. 60 calories. So it's less of a bulk than the flour typical. You can get these only at Hy-Vee, Tomatoes. It's still, I'd say, middle of the road processed. It's close to ultra, pretty close. So I just want to be honest. Another option, a very good option would be, these work great as tortillas, guys, as wraps. So don't forget about that. This doesn't hold quite as much seaweed, but seaweed, just keep it in mind. You'd have to go a lot less, roll it up, just putting that out there. So, and you could just do, in a bowl. You could just make this in a bowl without a tortilla. So just some ideas there. Beans, the peppers with the onions, you can use those in so many things throughout the week. So that's why I like having this at the beginning of the week and making a double batch. Or if you're making for one, then make it and use it. You're going to easily use it. So it's just such a versatile dish. Okay, so we are going to move into the microwave for stovetop. So we have, you have done fantastic. Thank you so much. Tanya has made for everybody here. Well, she's been going like crazy. Can you mix in the beans that I made earlier and the peppers into these, or one or the other? Just mix them together so they warm up those. Okay, so here we're gonna make a super easy. Yes, that in there. Oh, yes. So what we're gonna do is I have a half a cup of broccoli and red pepper. The trick here is to cut it up really fine. Okay, you see the broccoli here? Really fine. Broccoli likes cold, FYI, so the back of your refrigerator is fine for broccoli. Even if it gets a few ice crystals, that's okay. A damp paper towel over it, not in a bag, is best. The romaine lettuce is best with a paper towel stamped on the stem here in a bag. It doesn't have to be sealed perfectly, but I can get romaine lettuce to last 2 weeks easily. So, and when I get it home, I open it and do this when you got the pack of 3, I take them out. I usually can't get back all 3, so I put it in another bag, but each of the stems, I put a damp paper towel. It needs that moisture feeding up through the leaves. It will last like tons better. So I chopped up everything really fine. I'm going to put that in can you grab the eggs for me in the refrigerator? So half a cup of that, and then I'm going to get 3 egg whites, and I'm using egg whites in a carton. Just make sure you can use eggs where you separate them. That's fine too. Just make sure they don't have salt added. Some of the brands will have salt added to them. So we're just going to mix that up there, and then I've got half a cup of chopped up. It's best to chop. You could just throw it in there, but I just find to get it through the eggs, it's best to just get small pieces for this. So we're just gonna mix that up. I added some seasoning into the veggies, a table blend here, just a kind of general, if you want kick Chipotle, it would be really kicky, but I just use the table blend here. So we're just gonna put this in. What have you been doing?
I ended up doing 3.5 minutes.
Oh, well, yours is okay. I'm going to do 1. Okay. This is Corningware. That's Corningware, and that's not Corningware. There's a big difference how they heat up in the microwave. We've learned the hard way. Yeah. The last time we did this, we were
I was like, I can't give them liquid eggs.
Yeah, I was like, keep going. So whether we had the mugs that we have, go and grab one of those so that everyone can see. So we got these actually for this class, and they work out great, except they take a lot more heat to, they get pretty hot themselves, and they're not transferring a lot to the actual food there. So we had to go like 3 minutes, you said?
Yeah.
3 minutes for each of these, whereas I usually go like a minute and then 30 seconds each time with my Corningware blend. And we heard that Courtney Ware is going on goods. So, yeah, so, you could flip those out on the plates there. So, if you want to, if you think, usually they work, but you want to try there. So, is it coming, you want to do a knife around it?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a knife, I think in the dishwasher over there. There you go. Okay, so you see it's a little choppy here. I'm still gonna flatten it out and mix it because I want to make sure, again, we don't want like raw eggs, so we want it cooked. So we just do another like 30 seconds there. And then we're gonna flip it out on the plate and use salsa. So this is the Linda's salsa. It's got only like 60 milligrams of sodium. And we're gonna put some, then some Parmesan cheese on top. Now, you might be saying, Teresa, I can use Parmesan cheese? A very, very little bit, okay? So it just adds a nice little flavoring to it. Yes, it has salt. Yes, it has saturated fat. If you want to, omit it, you can omit it. We're just adding 2 teaspoons there on top. It's just a nice little touch, you'll see. So is it cooperating?
Better than mine. No, but.
Okay, so we're going to flip this out. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, so flip that out.
You have to be too gentle. I need to plan.
I don't know, it works every time.
I'm not trying to break any glasses or anything.
We did good. So here we go with the salsa on top. And you could just eat it in there, put the salsa on top. So, and we're just going to sprinkle. There we go. So there we go. Look at that for a breakfast or a dinner. So we've got, 2 veggies in there. We've got some good protein, the egg whites, a little bit of seasoning definitely in there. So, mouth-watering frittata. So here the participants are going to taste that. So, so there we go. So just a few minutes over. So you see, like in 20 minutes, I made both these dishes super easy. Keep in mind that I highly recommend if there's a dish that you're like, that's better than I thought. If it's something that you could eat frequently, that's going to bring you the health that you want, make it another time or two kind of in the next week or so, because you want to get good at it. You want to nail it down, because part of the problem in the kitchen is we don't have much time, both time and mental energy. So once you make, I make these all the time and I make them at home. And so it's no problem. I was a little squished today for time. So the kitchen was being used for another function. So I was like, it's okay. I've made these before. So I punched them out, but that's what you want. You want to be confident, be able to punch things out. So don't all of these dishes you're making with these 4 classes, find 1 or 2. Peggy said she's made cauliflower salad twice too. So yeah, so awesome. So that is something that, would you say that you can make frequently? Yeah. 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 I have the cauliflower salad probably at least 3 times a month. I make it. So, and it's that and the kale salad. So I love those 2. Those are 2 of my favorite. I have some others that I rotate in there too for variety, for diversity. But those definitely are my 2 favorite ones. And they're not that hard once you just make them a couple times. So, yeah. So awesome, guys. So action step time. So before you leave, make sure you set your action step. And I want really to emphasize this whole compassion message, that be aware and know that anything that you're going, wow, I just realized I did that, and that's not really helping me with my health. But you know what? It was serving me in some way before. So I am totally okay. And I'm going to take baby steps to moving it to something else that's wonderful and serving my health. So please, compassion, compassion, compassion. So it will get you so far if you just become curious and have compassion. So thank you, guys.
Anybody that not have salsa or Parmesan that wants me to leave one plan.
Oh, good question. So you can leave off the salsa or the Parmesan if you want to. So thank you, guys. I will see you next week for
we're going to talk about heart. This is a really, really good one. We're going to go into, like, can we reverse heart disease? What about that? A lot of people are wondering about that. There's a little confusion out there. So we'll talk about that and what it means. So I'll see you next week.